In life's most challenging times, faith often undergoes its greatest tests, revealing resilience and offering opportunities for growth. Such is the case for Joel Osteen, who has shocked the world by exposing deep-seated tensions with his mother-in-law, Joni Lamb, shattering the polished image of familial unity long associated with their respective ministries. Known for his positivity and unwavering optimism, Joel's decision to go public about these unresolved issues marks a profound shift and has cast a spotlight on the fragility of relationships that were once seen as cornerstones of their faith-driven endeavors. For years, the Osteen and Lamb families have been paragons of leadership within the Christian broadcasting world. Their collective work touched millions of lives through Lakewood Church and Daystar Television Network. But Joel's stunning revelations unearth a tumultuous undercurrent of power struggles, accusations of manipulation, and questions of accountability. He shared that his conflict with Joni was not merely a familial disagreement, but a struggle that threatens the integrity of their ministries and the people who look to them for guidance. As Joel broke his silence, he challenged the perception that these families were impervious to discord, raising profound questions about the internal dynamics that could unravel these monumental ministries. The heart of the turmoil lies in Joni Lamb's position within her family-run ministry. Her leadership, already under scrutiny, has faced pointed allegations from her son Jonathan and his wife Susie Lamb, who accused Joni of wielding spiritual manipulation disguised as divine authority. A meeting in July 2023 reportedly epitomized these tensions, where Jonathan was told by a trusted counselor, Jimmy Evans, that Joni's voice was the equivalent of God's. This revelation sent shockwaves through their community, with many questioning the balance between spiritual guidance and coercive control. For Jonathan, the experience was a breaking point. He openly challenged the narrative, asking why he couldn't hear from God directly instead of being expected to submit unequivocally to Joni's voice. These moments of conflict peeled back the layers of carefully curated public personas, exposing struggles that resonate deeply with followers who trust these leaders with their faith. Adding fuel to the fire, Joni Lamb's remarriage to Doug Weiss in 2023 intensified the division. Jonathan and Susie, initially supportive, reportedly grew increasingly distant as Doug's influence within Daystar Television Network expanded, including his role as a co-host alongside Joni. This new dynamic disrupted an already delicate balance, with Jonathan and Susie perceiving Doug's presence as a threat to their voice and roles within the ministry. The resulting fallout reached its peak in public allegations that magnified suspicions of manipulation, control, and misuse of spiritual authority. Compounding the crisis are accusations that Joni prioritized her ministry over her family's well-being. These claims have been denied vehemently by Joni, who maintains that every decision she has made was to protect and strengthen both her family and Daystar's mission. Still, the tensions within the family were exposed further when Jonathan Lamb's termination from his leadership role became a focal point of public discourse. Joni claimed his dismissal was due to consistent performance issues, including absenteeism and departmental mismanagement, while Jonathan's supporters argued that the termination may have been a calculated move to silence dissent and maintain control. The Osteen family, too, has found itself in the crosshairs of public speculation. Lakewood Church, which Joel has long championed as a beacon of hope and inspiration, is now facing questions about its future as a result of these personal and professional conflicts. The once ironclad unity of the Osteen and Lamb families has given way to a narrative of betrayal, mistrust, and unbridled power struggles. The weight of these allegations against Joni Lamb has left many followers grappling with doubts over whether her leadership transcends faith or borders on manipulation. As the dust settles from Joel's shocking revelations and the escalating allegations of spiritual abuse, the question of the future looms large. Can these families reconcile their differences, or will this be the beginning of a larger, irreparable rift? Joel's decision to break his silence is more than a personal declaration. It is a call to accountability that could lead to transformative change in how ministries are managed. These revelations serve as a cautionary tale of how unchecked authority, whether familial or organizational, can create rifts that shake even the strongest of foundations. The world watches as this drama unfolds, offering a rare glimpse into the vulnerability of those entrusted with immense spiritual and social influence. This is more than a tale of personal grievances. It is a moment that challenges faith communities to reflect on the boundaries between leadership, family, and the values they hold sacred. In this narrative of heartbreak, resilience, and a quest for truth, the stakes are nothing less than the faith of millions who have been profoundly touched by the Osteen and Lamb legacies. The Osteen and Lamb families, long seen as pinnacles of faith and leadership, have become embroiled in a deeply personal and spiritual conflict that has now captured public attention. At the heart of the discord is Joni Lamb's controversial marriage to Doug Weiss, which seems to have become a breaking point for the family. Jonathan and Susie Lamb, central figures in this drama, have expressed their belief that the marriage wasn't merely a personal decision but a violation of the values and beliefs that define their family. The circumstances surrounding Doug's past relationships and the timing, just months after Marcus Lamb's passing, fueled concerns and led to widespread speculation. For many in the family and the ministry, this union seemed less about love and more about retaining influence within the ministry. The tension surrounding Joni's decision escalated when Jonathan and Susie chose not to publicly endorse the marriage, sparking a swift and severe response from Joni. Threats and demands for compliance revealed deeper fractures within the family, turning what might have been a private disagreement into a defining crisis. The refusal to align with Joni's choices resulted in a confrontation that transcended mere familial loyalty. Jonathan and Susie's actions raised broader questions about the intersection of personal beliefs, religious duty, and the control wielded by spiritual leaders. This internal rift culminated in a fateful meeting on July 11, 2023, attended by Joni Lamb, Jonathan and Susie Lamb, and Jimmy Evans, a mediator trusted by the family. What began as a discussion about family unity spiraled into a revealing moment of manipulation and spiritual coercion. Evans claimed that Joni's voice was equivalent to God's, a statement that deeply unsettled Jonathan and Susie, leading them to challenge the authority being imposed upon them. For Jonathan, a man devoted to his faith, the idea of submitting to one person's interpretation of God's was not only spiritually untenable, but also a betrayal of his personal convictions. As the meeting progressed, the true nature of the family's turmoil became apparent. What had been framed as a theological disagreement turned into a battle for control. Joni and Evans insisted that submission was not only expected but necessary, equating dissent with sin and rebellion. For Jonathan and Susie, this ultimatum represented the culmination of years of frustration, manipulation, and unspoken grievances. The family's unity, once heralded as a cornerstone of their ministry, was replaced with accusations, betrayals, and broken trust. The emotional fallout from this meeting didn't just fracture familial bonds, it laid bare systemic issues within the ministry's leadership. Accusations of spiritual abuse and manipulation, including the suggestion that Jonathan and Susie's defiance was tantamount to defying God, revealed the darker side of an organization that had built its reputation on faith and hope. The Lambs' refusal to endorse Joni's marriage became a statement of independence and integrity, but it came at a steep cost. They were publicly ostracized, their roles within the ministry stripped, and their once secure place within the family left irreparably damaged. Compounding the family's distress were allegations that extended beyond spiritual manipulation. Jonathan revealed heartbreaking claims of unresolved sexual abuse within the family. His discovery that his daughter had been a victim of such abuse was met not with support but with dismissal from Joni and Marcus Lamb. Their defense of the accused, rather than their granddaughter, highlighted a deep and painful rift that transcended generational and familial loyalty. For Jonathan, the lack of accountability and action turned what could have been a moment of healing into one of irrevocable loss and betrayal. This cascade of events has shaken the Osteen and Lamb families, their ministries, and their followers to their cores. The public perception of unity and spiritual strength has been replaced with an image of fractured trust and unresolved pain. For many who once viewed these families as models of faith and leadership, the revelations prompt difficult questions about the limits of loyalty, the misuse of spiritual authority, and the cost of silence in the face of wrongdoing. As this story continues to unfold, one question remains: can a foundation built on faith survive when trust and transparency are lost? Jonathan's decision to come forward with allegations of sexual abuse within his family marked a courageous, yet isolating act of defiance. The lack of support from his family, especially Joni and Marcus Lamb, felt like a profound betrayal. Instead of addressing the claims with the seriousness they warranted, the family dismissed the allegations as unfounded and defended the accused. For Jonathan, this reaction illuminated a painful truth. The family prioritized loyalty to one another over loyalty to the truth. This realization left him feeling abandoned and isolated, and the consequences extended beyond personal heartbreak. It shattered the foundation of trust within the ministry and threatened to tarnish the legacy they had worked so hard to build. The situation worsened when the investigation into the allegations was rushed and inadequate, leading to claims that the accused had been exonerated. Jonathan and Susie, however, recognized the flaws in the process and saw it for what it was: a deliberate effort to protect the family's reputation at the expense of justice. Refusing to stay silent, Jonathan took a stand, knowing full well that doing so put him at odds with his own family and jeopardized his role in the ministry. The pressure to conform and remain silent was immense, but Jonathan's commitment to uncovering the truth proved stronger. As the family struggles became public knowledge, the spiritual abuse accusations that had long simmered beneath the surface came to light, revealing a deeply troubling culture within the Osteen family. The allegations were not just about a personal failing. They pointed to systemic issues within the ministry: manipulation, coercion, and a prioritization of image over integrity. Jonathan and Susie's resolve to expose these truths came at a significant cost. They faced the loss of their jobs, reputations, and relationships within the family. This internal conflict reached a peak after an explosive meeting with Joni and Evans. Jonathan's refusal to comply with their demands resulted in his forced resignation from Lakewood Church, a calculated move by Joni to maintain control over the ministry. For Jonathan, this betrayal was devastating. It wasn't just the loss of his position. It was the unraveling of his life's work and a profound sense of rejection from the family he had devoted his life to serving. Even attempts to discuss the situation with Joni were met with silence, deepening the rift. The betrayal extended beyond professional consequences. As Jonathan and Susie began to piece together the full scope of what had been happening within the family, they uncovered patterns of deceit, control, and manipulation that had festered for years. The ministry, once believed to be a beacon of faith, was revealed to have been built on a foundation of secrecy and coercion. The spiritual abuse they had endured now appeared as part of a much larger pattern of misconduct and moral failings. Determined to stand by their convictions, Jonathan and Susie embarked on a journey to bring these truths to light. Their willingness to confront the darkness within the Osteen family challenged the public's perception of the ministry, sparking conversations about power dynamics, accountability, and the responsibility of religious leaders to protect the vulnerable. For Jonathan, the personal cost was immense, but the fight for transparency and integrity became his new purpose. While the family's public image of unity lay in ruins, Jonathan remained resolute in his belief that the truth must prevail, no matter how painful or damaging it might be. This marked the beginning of a reckoning for the Osteen family and their ministry, one that would have lasting implications for all involved. Joan's marriage to Doug Weiss, a union that had previously sparked immense family turmoil, turned out to be far more than just a personal decision. It was part of a larger, more deliberate strategy to consolidate control over the family's ministry. Doug, a man with a controversial background and a history of a divorce that lacked biblical justification, was viewed as the perfect partner for Joni's bid for greater authority. By marrying Doug, she effectively sought to solidify her power within the family, using their relationship as a tool to maintain and strengthen her position. Despite the strong objections from her own children, Jonathan and Susie, who couldn't reconcile with the decision, Joni pressed forward. This calculated move shattered their trust in their mother, leaving them to grapple with an unbearable sense of betrayal. For Jonathan and Susie, It wasn't just the unexpected marriage that hurt, but the realization that they had been manipulated for years within their own family and ministry. They had long believed in the purpose of their ministry and trusted the leadership that had shaped it, only to uncover that those very pillars of faith were grounded in deception. Their exposure of this truth revealed deep emotional and spiritual abuse that had been endured and overlooked by the family. This abuse had festered over time, becoming all but impossible to deny. What had once been regarded as a sacred calling, the Osteen family's mission, was now seen as a facade, built upon lies, manipulation, and self-interest. As these shocking revelations came to light, Jonathan and Susie found themselves not only confronting their family's betrayal, but also bearing the weight of exposing a legacy of deceit. The ministry they had dedicated their lives to was now tainted, and their once glorious reputation began to crumble in the public eye. Their decision to speak out, however difficult, had a ripple effect. It encouraged others to come forward with their own stories of spiritual manipulation, marking the beginning of a broader reckoning within their community. Many were forced to question the nature of leadership in their faith and how far certain individuals would go to preserve control at any cost. This cascade of revelations set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the perception of the Osteen family and their ministry. The once untouchable image of the Osteen ministry, the family that had been revered by thousands for its teaching and supposed spiritual integrity, began to collapse under the weight of these truths. Jonathan and Susie's public defiance was not just an act of standing up for personal justice, but a clarion call that exposed the institutional rot hidden beneath the surface. The impact went far beyond their immediate family as it raised important questions for religious communities about accountability and the need for transparency. The unfolding story became an open wound, revealing how much of the Osteen legacy had been built on secrecy and control rather than faith. With the spotlight now on their every action, the public began to see the darker side of the Osteen family dynamics, a side that had long been hidden. Jonathan and Susie's actions were vital to beginning the long, painful process of healing for many, who would later find the courage to speak out as well. It wasn't just a family falling apart. It was the collapse of an entire institution that had long put its own interests ahead of those it was supposed to serve. As the details continued to surface, the world watched in disbelief as the carefully crafted image of a powerful, untouchable ministry crumbled. The revelation that Joni's marriage to Doug was part of a larger control strategy only further deepened the narrative of betrayal. Joni had placed more importance on consolidating her personal power than on the values of unity, faith, and honesty that the ministry had originally stood for. Her actions exposed the hollowness of the leadership structure, and as Jonathan and Susie continued to speak out, they realized that they were not just addressing personal hurt but the wider and deeper scars that the Osteen family had inflicted upon their community. The emotional toll on Jonathan and Susie was immense. The pain wasn't just personal, it was about the destruction of everything they had once believed in. The damage wasn't just limited to their family relationships but extended to their faith, which had been deeply rooted in the ministry they helped create. Jonathan's disillusionment was evident, yet he remained steadfast in his conviction that the truth must come to light. His decision to speak out against the system, despite its personal cost, spoke to a commitment to both his values and to those who had been silenced by years of spiritual abuse. The once flawless image of the Osteen family, revered by many and followed by millions, was now irreparably shattered. The revelation served as a stark reminder that even those entrusted with spiritual leadership were not immune to the temptations of power and control. As their story gained traction in the public sphere, the Osteen family's stranglehold on their once pristine image dissolved. The once celebrated ministry had become the embodiment of corruption and manipulation. What would become of their future in this new reality? Jonathan and Susie's story was far from over, and the truth that had been carefully hidden for so long was now in the public domain, its consequences far-reaching. The Osteen family had to confront the question that had eluded them for years. Could they rebuild what had been broken, or had the damage been done irreparably? As Jonathan and Susie continue their fight for justice, the questions that now hang in the air are chilling ones. How many others have suffered in silence? and just how much of the Osteen ministry's success had been built on a foundation of secrets, lies, and spiritual manipulation. The revelation that Joan's marriage was part of a strategy to gain control shattered the myth of the family's unity, and as more pieces of their carefully guarded secrets are unveiled, the truth becomes undeniable. What happens next remains to be seen, but Jonathan and Susie's bravery in speaking out has ensured that the world now knows the truth of what happened behind closed doors, and it's a story that will continue to unfold for years to come.